Thank you for joining us. Welcome to LumioseStation.
What's up, LumioseStation, and welcome back to another episode of the Pokémon DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral. In today's episode, we are starting off the 6 days of Mega Evolutions. So 6 days, 6 weeks rather, of Mega Evolutions. First of 6 episodes covering Mega Evolutions, primarily introduced in Oras, maybe 1 or 2 from X and Y. I'll see when I decide them all. I thought to start off the Megathon, or the whatever you guys want to call it, the 6 days of whatever. I thought I'd go for Mega Metagross because it's I like Metagross anyway, and obviously Steven the champion uses it, so it's going to be a fairly popular Mega Evolution for use in the battles. So I figured I'd start off with that. So we're going to go as usual. As I said last time, guys, drop some more suggestions for other Mega Evolutions I could cover in the next 5 weeks. So if you want to see Mega Lopunny covered, if you want to see Mega Ordino covered, if you're that crazy, whatever you want to see covered, Mega Beedrill, Mega Pidgeot, etc., drop it down below, and the one that seems to come up the most, I shall indeed cover. But let's get on with Metagross and Mega Metagross, of course. So, Metagross is a Steel Psychic type, and it's the Iron Leg Pokemon, being number 376 in the National Pokédex. It stands at 5 foot 3 inches tall, or 1.6 meters tall. We can assume this is when it's standing on all 4 of its legs, something like that. And it weighs 1,212.5 pounds, or 550 kilograms exactly. It's in the Mineral Egg group, and it's genderless, meaning, it's genderless, there's no male, there's no female. It's genderless. Evolution chain wise, Beldum is the basic evolution, evolving into Metang starting at level 20, and then Metang evolves further into Metagross starting at level 45, so it's fairly high evolving, but of course you can get it before you're too high, I guess. Base stat wise for Metagross, health points are I guess almost its lowest at 80. Then we have attack at 135, so that's its highest stat there. Defense is 130, so that's pretty high as well. So as you might be able to tell, Metagross is a physical Pokemon. And then special attack is 95, special defense is 90, and then speed is 70. So speed is the slowest stat there. Obviously, by looking at Metagross, you can tell it's not going to be the fastest Pokemon, and it's lacking a bit in the special department as well. So will be no surprise to you when I say that Metagross is mainly physical, but it can be used special, at least in terms of Mega. Ability wise for Metagross rather, it has a Clear Body as its basic ability, which prevents other Pokemon from lowering its stats. This is pretty good because it makes you immune to not Earthquake, makes you immune to Intimidate, makes you immune to anything that's going to lower your attack, or mainly attack. Defense is another thing as well, but obviously, you guys get the idea. Its stats can't be lowered by the Pokemon, so that's going to help you out in certain situations, especially Intimidate. As I mentioned, that's the first one that comes to mind. Its hidden ability is Light Metal, which halves its weight. Isn't really that helpful, so I wouldn't recommend using it. Clear Body is going to be more helpful in most situations. Light Metal, it's going to help you out against Low Kick and other moves based on weight, but apart from that, it's really not going to be helpful. So, unless you're carrying any of those moves, or you're scared of those moves, don't run Light Metal, just focus on Clear Body. As I said, it's the better choice, to be honest, at least. Then we have typing wise Mega Metagross, being a Steel Psychic type. It resists a fair few types actually. Normal, Grass, Flying, Rock, Psychic, Ice, Dragon, Steel and Fairy types are all resisted. It's only weak to 4, which are Fire, Ground, Ghost and Dark. It's immune to Poison types, and it takes neutral from the last 4, Water, Electric, Fighting and Bug. Now, really, Metagross actually took a big hit in Generation 6 because they changed how Steel, Ghost and Dark interact. Steel used to resist Ghost and Dark, in which case it would take neutral from Ghost and Dark, and it would only have 2 weaknesses. But however, that being changed now, you do take super effective damage from Ghost and Dark type moves, so that's that there. You have 4 weaknesses, but those, what is that, 8, 9 actually resistances, that's very powerful, and that's certainly going to allow you to be very defensive as well, and also switching a few moves, especially poison type moves, because obviously you're immune to those, so again that's going to help out quite a fair bit there. So really, there's not much to worry about Metagross in terms of typing. Obviously Earthquake is going to be a big thing, as well as Flamethrower, other things as well, but really in general it's got a good typing, in my opinion at least. Then, if we look at some highlighted moves here for Metagross, there's quite a few, mainly physical, some are special. First up we have Pursuit at level 23. This is going to not do much damage, but obviously if you if you're looking to force a switch on an enemy Pokemon, you could switch your Metagross in, and assuming, say it's, I don't know, a grass type that really has just got nothing it can do against you at all, or something that's, you know, weak to Steel or weak to Psychic, etc., that they will most likely want to switch out, you could then throw the Pursuit off. That's going to do double damage then before they switch out, and then they're going to switch out. You know, you might be able to take them out there and then, but, you know, or they might be able to switch out. So Pursuit is helpful because obviously Metagross's speed isn't very low in the first place, so in terms of actually, well, I mean, you won't be able to outspeed a switch out anyway, but Pursuit indeed will help there, so it's definitely a viable move to use, especially with that double power if they're switching out. Then level 29 in X and Y, level 32 in Auras, it learns Zen Headbutt, a very powerful Psychic type move. Physical, obviously, and that's going to be your main Psychic stab. There's not really any other Psychic moves that Metagross gets that you'd want it to have. You know, there's a few, I guess, special ones, but as we've mentioned, Metagross is not really a special attacker. It's mainly physical, even in its Mega form. But we'll talk more about that in a second. But that is Zen Headbutt there. Then level 32 in X and Y, or level 26 in Auras, so you can Bullet Punch and Zen Headbutt sort of switched around in Auras. It has Bullet Punch, as I just said, which is priority. Again, that's going to be quite helpful, especially if you're using normal Metagross, because, you know, you have lower speed, and Bullet Punch is going to allow you to get some priority off, so it could be helpful in some situations, but it doesn't do as much damage as other moves you're going to have, so you could think about using some other, you know, using it over other ones, or it depends what kind of setup you're going for here, or you could use both to have priority and power, but really that's up to you. Then at level 38 or level 41, depending on the game, X, Y or Auras, we have Agility. This is going to sharply raise your speed and will definitely help out if you're going with a normal Metagross because, as I mentioned, it's got very bad speed. So Agility will definitely speed you up there and allow you to actually do some sort of big fast damage, whereas otherwise you're going to be pretty slow and you're going to be vulnerable to being taken out fairly quickly. Then at level 44 it learns Meteor Mash, its main Steel type stab, does a lot of damage, and really that's all it's made for, really, doing damage here with Meteor Mash. Obviously, as I said, Bullet Punch is also a Steel type move, does less damage however, but does have priority, so you could either run Bullet Punch for priority, Meteor Mash for power, or you could run both to get the best of both worlds. Then at level 45, just one level later, it learns Hammer Arm. It's a powerful fighting type move, but it does lower your speed. Then again, as we said, Metagross isn't a very fast Pokemon in the first place, so if you're not really looking to go with speed, you're going with defense for example, Hammer Arm is a good idea because you don't care about your speed anyway, so Hammer Arm is just going to get the power off in return for lowering your speed, which, as I said, you don't care about. Then level 53 in X and Y, level 52 in Auras, it can learn Iron Defense, which is going to sharply raise your physical defense. So if you're looking to go for a really, really, really physically defensive Metagross, you could indeed run Iron Defense to, you know, bulk up that defense, and really no physical Pokemon will be able to touch you, unless of course they have the right type advantage. Even then, you know, Iron Defense is going to cancel out that type advantage, and they're going to be down to sort of neutral. And if you get another Iron Defense up, you're even better off. But Iron Defense can indeed be used on a sort of defensive set. Then we have TM1 Hone Claws. This is going to raise your physical attack and your accuracy as well. Accuracy will come in helpful for some of the moves here. Meteor Mash does not have 100% accuracy, so indeed that is going to, you know, I think after maybe just one Hone Claws, maybe two, you're going to be pretty much 100% up there, so really there's no chance of you missing your Meteor Mash, which is definitely a good thing because otherwise you're not going to be able to kill any Pokemon if you haven't got good accuracy, basically. In terms of what other moves we have here, the boosted accuracy is going to help. There might be one or two or other ones that Metagross could learn, but generally Meteor Mash is the one you're looking at sort of getting the accuracy for. But obviously the boosted attack as well is a pretty nice thing to have. Then at TM26 we have Earthquake. You know, everyone knows about Earthquake. It's a very basic move in competitive. Ground type, it's going to cover certain types. I mean, in terms of what you're weak to fire, so that will cover against fire types, but really it won't cover much apart from that, but it might be able to help you cover other types your moves can't necessarily cover for you. For example, Steel, both your stabs are going to be resisted, so Earthquake is going to be a good choice there, for example. Then we have TM64, which is Explosion. Now, due to Metagross's high attack stat, combined with Explosion's very high base power, that is going to do a lot of damage to anyone, of course, unless they're a ghost type, but we'll ignore that. It's going to do a lot of damage to anyone that takes that thing. So Explosion is good, especially if you're looking for a sort of a suicide set or a lead set. It might be good to hold on, and when you get to low health, you can just explode and do as much damage as possible, really, and that might be helpful in terms of the battle, like sway the battle your way, for example, of course. But Explosion, yeah, it's a very risky move, but And certainly if you use it well, it's going to go well. Then, if we move on to some more moves, we have a TM86, which is Grass Knot. Now, this move is special. However, I'll talk more about it when we get to the look at the Mega Evolution in a second. It actually does sort of get a benefit as a Mega Evolution. As a normal Metagross, it's not really going to get the same benefit. But if Mega Metagross, it's certainly going to actually help there. Grass, it depends on the weights here, the power of this, so you might want to keep it to use against other heavy Pokemon. For example, let's go for one up Snorlax as an example, but against light Pokemon, it's not going to do as much damage, you see. Then we have 4 shooter moves from Oras. First one is Ice Punch. This is going to be a pretty powerful Ice type move. Metagross can get it. It's going to allow you some more coverage again, particularly against ground types. It's one of your weaknesses, but also against some other types you might not be able to hit very hard. For example, it's going to have coverage against grass, flying, other stuff like that. It's really going to help out a fair bit there. Then we have another shooter move, which is Stealth Rock. This is going to be, if you're using a defensive Metagross, you may as well run Stealth Rock because it can learn it, and if you're being defensive, you have enough turns to do those sort of things, or you can take the attacks while you set it up. So as I said, it's definitely a good choice to have. Then another shooter move, we have Thunder Punch. Again, coverage against flying types, water types. In terms of types you're weak to, not very much coverage there, but just general coverage, it works pretty well. And finally, the last shooter move we have is Trick, which is going to switch your item with your opponent's item. Now, in terms of when this is used, we'll look at that in the competitive sets, but Trick is a viable move there. And that's all the highlighted moves for Metagross. So now let's have a particular look at the Mega Evolution. So, Mega Metagross, it stays a Steel type, really no change there, and obviously everyone knows what its design looks like. It just gains loads more arms, basically. Dimension-wise, it does get a lot taller. It's 8 foot 2 inches or 2.5 meters, so actually a fair bit bigger than its basic form, almost twice the size. So that's certainly something to watch out for there. Well, not almost twice, so you get the idea. And weighs 2,078.7 pounds or 942.9 kilograms, almost doubling its weight as well. Its Megastone is the Metagross, which is received from Steven after his second defeat. So once you do the Delta episode and you go and do the Elite Four rematches, he'll give you the Metagross, or indeed, if you got the Shiny Baldwin via the events, it's going to be holding a Metagross there as well. So there's the Mega Evolution. As I said earlier, it does gain extra arms. Its 4 arms just goes to the front basically, and it gains 2 more arms, or 4 more arms I think it is on the back. I still have no idea how many arms Mega Metagross has. It just has a few, I know that much. Base stat-wise, we can see health points are going to stay the same because health points always stay the same there. Attack is going to go up by 10 to 145. Defense is going to go up by 20 to 150, so that's getting very, very high indeed. Special attack gets a boost of 10 as well to 105, as does special defense, except that's a boost of 20 to 110, so it gets a bit more specially bulky as well. And then its speed gets a boost of 40, so this is the biggest boost it has, and speed goes up to 110. So speed actually increases a fair bit and makes you a fairly fast Pokemon, so Mega Metagross is certainly a lot faster than normal Metagross, and something to be thought about when you're using a Mega Metagross. Now, Mega Metagross's ability is Tough Claws, which boosts up or powers up moves that make direct contact. So these are moves like Meteor Mash, Zen Headbutt, Bullet Punch, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, as well as some special moves. For example, Grass Knot. Grass Knot, although it's a special move, it does physical damage. So that's why we have Grass Knot there, and that's why Grass Knot is a viable move to be used with Mega Metagross. So certainly think about that if you are building a set, but obviously we'll discuss that when we get into the competitive sets, which obviously, after covering the Mega Evolution, we're going to start covering now. We have 4 basic sets for Metagross, and then we're going on to having a Mega Metagross set. So let's get started. Okay, so the first Metagross set we're looking at is going to be sort of a basic set. Well, not really a basic set, but one of the basic sets, which doesn't make any sense at all, but okay. It's an agility set, so the moveset is going to be agility, as you might expect, Meteor Mash, Earthquake, and Zen Headbutt. Ability is Clear Body. As I said, we're not going to be using Light Metal at all. Nature is Jolly, held item is a Life Orb, and the EVs are going maximum attack, maximum speed, and the rest in health points. So moveset, agility, which is what you really want to get off. This is a normal Metagross, so getting 1 agility up will certainly give you a nice boost in speed, and getting 2 up will make sure you outspeed pretty much everything. Well, not pretty much, you guys get the idea though. You guys get the idea. 1 or 2 agilities will serve you quite fine enough. So we don't need Bullet Punch here because If you're using agility, you're going to be fast enough to outspeed Pokemon anyway, so why would you need priority anymore? Meteor Mash is your main stab, as is Zen Headbutt, and Earthquake is for coverage against fire types or steel types so you can't touch otherwise. Ability, I don't really need to mention it, as I said, we're not using light metal because we don't really need to worry about it too much. Nature here is a jolly one, because even though we're not fast to start off with that agility boost, jolly one nature will help us out more than an adamant one, and really, it's an agility set, so we're looking more at speed than doing a load of, too much damage. Speed is going to help us out in the long term more than, an adamant nature, for example. Held item though is a life orb, because this is a case of agilitying once or twice, and life orb here is going to provide us with our attack boost, so we can actually get off the life orb there, and get power off with the life orb, etc, etc. You guys get the idea. I really need to tell you this, guys. Eevee's maximum attack and speed, just get as much power and as much speed as possible with that agility, and the rest in health points just to bulk you up generally. How would you use this set? Well, switch in, use agility if it's safe to, don't use agility if you're facing off against someone with flamethrower, for example. Use agility if it's safe to, and then you can sort of start going through the team. It's good for a sweeper, I guess, but obviously it might want to be left to a late game sweeper once the threats have been taken out, because otherwise, if you use your agility on the turn, they could switch out to someone who can just, is faster than you anyway and burns you, for example, just burn you out. So might be looking at a late game sweeper here, or maybe even a early game sweeper, depending on what the enemy team is. Then, next up we have, this is more of a basic one, but it's a choice band set here. We have, moveset wise, Meteor Mash, Zen Headbutt, Earthquake, and then finally Bullet Punch, Thunder Punch, or Trick. Ability here is Clear Body, Nature is going to be an adamant one, held item is a choice band, and the EVs are putting maximum health points, maximum attack, and the rest in defense. Okay, so moveset wise, Meteor Mash, main stab, Zen Headbutt, main stab. Don't need to say much more than that. Earthquake, again, coverage. Then finally we have Bullet Punch, Thunder Punch, or Trick. This is up to you. Bullet Punch gives you priority, Thunder Punch gives you coverage, or Trick can be used to trick the opponent into having a choice band. So, obviously this is a choice band set, so depending on what move you use first, that's where you're going to be locked into. If you're carrying Trick, however, you can use Trick, and you'll switch your item with your opponent's item, and they'll get a choice band. Depending, you don't really want to do this on another offensive Pokemon, because you're giving them a choice band and powering up their moves. You're best doing it on especially attacking Pokemon, because then they're rendered completely useless pretty much, because their special attacks aren't going to get powered up by a choice band, and then they're stuck in one move. Obviously even better put it onto a support Pokemon that, for example, just got Stealth Rock, Rest, or some moves that don't even do any attacking damage. But that's if you want to run Trick. The other alternative is running Bullet Punch or Thunder Punch. Bullet Punch you could run and just go for the constant choice band Bullet Punch time after time after time, or you could run Thunder Punch to have some coverage against water types, flying types, etc. Ability, Clear Body, as I've said. Nature here is adamant because we're not looking at speed this time. There's no agility, so we don't want to really boost our speed since it's already low. We've already said to ourselves, we're not going to be faster. We're just going to, stay slow, and we'll just do as much damage as possible with our adamant nature there. It's the same with the EVs, maximum health points and the rest in defense, just to bulk up your physical defense and your bulk in general, and the maximum attack to get as much damage off as possible. But there's no point in putting speed up, because we've pretty much said to ourselves, we don't need to go first in this case. We're just going to sit back and do damage. There's no point in reducing our speed using some bad nature, because every now and again we could outspeed something, but we're not relying on speed in this case, so that's why we're not really using a jolly nature or any EVs in speed. You guys get the idea there. So that's really the second set there. How would you use a set? Well, it's a choice band set. As I say, for every choice band set, you go in, you use the move that's best, and then you need to switch out if you need to. Obviously, you could use Trick if you're using Trick. Try and trick the choice band onto someone that's gonna, say you've got a Jellicent. You're facing off against a Jellicent. They've got a Leftovers, and they're a special attacker, so trick them with choice band. You get Leftovers, which is fairly helpful for you in the first place, and they get a choice band, which is terrible for them, and renders Jellicent pretty much completely useless, and that could be a game changer there. So really, you need to think about Trick. If you're using Trick, you need to use it at the right time. So then if we move on to the third competitive set, which is a defensive set, and is looking more at Stealth Rock, pretty much. Moveset is, as you might guess, Stealth Rock. Meteor Mash, Earthquake, and then Bullet Punch or Zen Headbutt. Ability is Clear Body once more. Nature is Adamant again, and the held item is a Leftovers. EV is putting maximum health points, maximum attack, and the rest in special defense. So, moveset, Stealth Rock, because that's your main sort of thing here. You could use it as a lead, or you could use it as a Pokemon to hang back and send out second or third to set the Stealth Rocks up and then do residual damage to the enemy Pokemon as they switch in as the battle goes on. Meteor Mash is main stab. Earthquake is coverage for steel types, fire types, etc. And then we have the choice of Bullet Punch or Zen Headbutt, so you can either get some priority with Bullet Punch, or you can get some more stab and some more coverage with Zen Headbutt. Ability is Clear Body because we're not using Light Metal. Nature Adamant because again we're not really bothered about speed here, again why we're not actually putting any EVs in speed. And the held item here is a Leftovers because we're going for the bulk here, so we don't really want a Choice Band or a Life Orb, we just want to sort of stay in and, you know, get some health points back every turn to allow us to survive 1 or 2 more turns. As I said, EVs are maximum health points in attack just to get the power up, but also to get a bit of bulk up, and the rest in special defense just to sort of bulk up your special as well. You could, instead of putting maximum attack here, have maximum defense and make you really bulky and have an impish nature and just go basically just to the Stealth Rock and just, you know, sort of deal a bit of damage each turn, rather than sort of having the element nature, etc. But really, with this set, once you've got the Stealth Rock up, what else are you going to do? You know, is it really required to have all those defensive, impish nature, maximum defense, etc. when you can just get the Stealth Rock up one turn? You're guaranteed to pretty much take a couple of attacks anyway, depending on what Pokemon you're facing. So, you know, is it really necessary for all that, or you could just maximize your attack stat to actually do some damage after you've got the Stealth Rocks up? So that's what we're thinking of here. And that's basically that set. So it's basically a case of switch in, use Stealth Rocks if it's safe to. You'll sort of want to set those up as soon as possible, and then get damage off, because that's, you know, once your Stealth Rocks are up, that's it. You could keep Metagross in the back again once you've, you know, set the Stealth Rocks up, switch out in case they have a Defogger or a Rapid Spinner, because then you can switch back in again and get the Stealth Rocks back up. But that's up to you whether you want to sort of stack it off straight off, or whether you just want to sort of, obviously it depends what team they have and whether they actually have a Rapid Spinner or a Defogger. So you need to sort of analyse that when you first see the team. But you guys get the idea there. It's a case of going in and Stealth Rocking and then getting some damage off. So then, looking at another set here, we actually have sort of, it's a mixed Metagross, it's a mixed Gross, not Mega, just a normal one. We have Meteor Mash, Grass Knot, Earthquake, and then Bullet Punch or Hidden Power being one of the TMs. I didn't list it because, you know, you guys know Hidden Power. Ability here is Clear Body, because we don't like Light Metal. Nature is a naughty one. Held item is going to be a Life Orb, and the EVs are going 224 in attack, 160 in special attack, and 124 in speed, so boosting up all our offenses here. So, moveset here is Meteor Mash for your main stab here. Grass Knot, because this is one of your main special attacks, obviously only really good against heavy Pokemon. And because we're not using Mega Metagross, Tough Claws is not going to give you the boost here, so really it's not going to do as much damage as it would if you were using a Mega Metagross with Grass Knot, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. Earthquake for coverage against Steel and Fire, because that really is needed. And then finally we have Bullet Punch, which you could use for priority, or if you're not really bothered about priority, you can go for Hidden Power, which depending on Hidden Power, could be helpful or could not be helpful. That really depends on what Hidden Power you get from your IVs. Clear Body ability, because we're not using Light Metal at all, I'm sorry. The Naughty Nature is going to boost your attack but lower your special defense, which is actually going to help out because obviously you don't want to lower your special attack since you have a special attacking move, so there's no point in doing it. So you'd rather lower your special defense because we don't really rely on our special defense too much anyway, so we'll just sort of sack that stat off to get some more power off without sacrificing our speed, because we do want to be fairly fast with sort of, you know, this set here. Life Orb is a held item because we want the power off with this set. It's not really about staying, it's not really about doing anything, we just want all the power we can. And the EV spread is just done for enough power in physical attack, enough power in special attack, and then some in speed, so you can outspeed some certain Pokemon in some, you know, whatever. You guys get the idea. How would you use this set? Well, you know, it's really just how you would use any Life Orb set. You know, come in, use the moves you can, and then switch out. Don't stay in if it's too risky, because obviously you are lowering your special defense with the Naughty Nature, and Life Orb will do damage to yourself anyway, so you could use it as a, you know, you can switch out every now and again, but it depends whether you're carrying Bullet Punch or Hidden Power, because Bullet Punch will allow you to take out a Pokemon, possibly, depending where it is. Or Hidden Power could, you know, if you haven't got Bullet Punch, you might not be able to, so really it depends on what the situation you're in here, whether you can actually switch back or forth, and what not. So then, if we look at the Mega Metagross set, finally the last set for Metagross here, we have, the moveset is Zen Headbutt, Meteor Mash, Earthquake or Ice Punch, and then Grass Knot or Pursuit. Ability is Clear Body, which is going to get changed over to Tough Claws. Nature here is Hasty or Jolly, depending on the moves, which I'll talk about in a second. Held items, obviously a Metagross side. And the EVs, you got maximum attack, maximum speed, and the rest in special defense. So, Zen Headbutt. Powerful stab, it is going to get a boost from Tough Claws as well. So is Meteor Mash, again another powerful stab. Earthquake or Ice Punch. The reason we got Ice Punch introduced here is because Ice Punch is going to get the boost from Tough Claws, whereas Earthquake is not. However, Ice Punch is going to get your coverage against ground types, particularly. Obviously, by not including Earthquake, you're going to lose your sort of strength against Steel types and Fire types, but, you know, is it really, you know, it depends. It's a choice, really. You can either use Earthquake for the coverage, or you can use Ice Punch for the power. Then finally, Grass Knot, as I said earlier, is going to get a boost from Tough Claws, so it's definitely a viable move to use. Or we have Pursuit, indeed, in case, you know, an enemy Pokemon comes in and you can Pursuit them out, because again, Pursuit does make contact. Ability Clear Body, as I said earlier, mentioned it several times. Nature here is Hasty or Jolly. A Hasty Nature is going to boost your speed, but lower one of your defenses. I'm not quite sure. I think it's physical defense off the top of my head. So it's not going to affect either of your attacks, so you're actually still going to get the maximum power. But if you're not using Grass Knot and using Pursuit instead, you can run a Jolly Nature, because obviously you've got no special attacks. So it depends what you want to run. You could run Zen Headbutt, Meteor Mash, Earthquake and Ice Punch, but then again you've got no priority for Pokemon switching out, so that might be something to watch out for there. The reason Pursuit is there is because you could switch in on the Pokemon. They could predict you're a Mega Metagross, or just predict, you know, see they're a Metagross and want to get out of there anyway. You could Mega then you could use Pursuit before they switch out, and then you get the extra damage off of them against some sort of thing, so it might be certainly a good idea to run Pursuit, but it's up to you guys. You could run Earthquake and Ice Punch rather than Grass Knot or Pursuit, but it's up to you, as I said. Held items, obviously the Mega Stone, no doubt about that, and Eevee's a maximum attack and speed, just because Mega Metagross is a fast Pokemon. It's got 110 base speed, so it's actually going to do a fair amount of damage, as well as maximum attack, also doing, a fair amount of speed rather, with 110 base speed. So really we're looking at a faster Pokemon here, hence again why we have Jolly Nature, and the maximum attack there. The rest of the special defense, just to bulk up that special defense a bit more. A good reason to run Pursuit actually is because obviously remember, on the first turn you've got no priority, because the speed boost from Mega Evolving does not go in until the second turn, so you're not going to get any boost this first turn. So it might also be a reason to run Bullet Punch. Again, Bullet Punch might be getting, or will get a boost rather, from Tough Claws, so you could run Bullet Punch in the last slot, just to use on the first turn you Mega Evolve, just so you have priority then before you get your speed boost. But it's up to you whether actually that speed boost matters to you or not. It really depends what situation you're in and what Pokemon you're switching into. But guys, that's how would you use that set. Switch in, Mega Evolve, Pursuit if you need to, if you can predict a switch there, or Bullet Punch if you decide to run that, and then it's a case of using the moves that's going to get the most power off against the enemy, or trying to predict switches and whatnot. But yeah. So guys, that is going to be it for Mega Metagross for today, or Metagross in general. If you did enjoy the episode, hit that like button down below, and suggest some more Mega Evolutions for me to cover in the next few weeks down in the comment section as well. But for now, this is going to be it for me for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Pokemon DataDex. I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.